You know, most companies stall at good and then slowly fade into irrelevance. The world you're building in doesn't reward mediocrity. But most founders chase the wrong metrics: revenue, headcount, funding rounds, while missing what actually creates enduring greatness. By the end of this video, you will understand why most companies stall at good while a rare few break through to greatness. You will learn the 3 circles that define your hedgehog concept. The simple, piercing clarity that beats complex strategies every time. You will discover the kind of leader who consistently delivers enduring results, and why they're the opposite of what most boards look for. And you will walk away with a framework for building momentum that compounds slowly at first, then unstoppable. Welcome to the CEO Brain Library High Signal. Briefs for leaders with no time to waste. Because here's the truth that separates the great from the merely good. Greatness is not a moment. It's a sustained trajectory. Let's get into it. In 1996, Jim Collins assembled a research team to answer one question. What separates companies that go from good to great from those that stay good or fall back? They analyzed 1,435 companies, 15 years of data, thousands of articles, interviews, and financial records. At the end, they identified 11 companies that made the leap and sustained it for at least 15 years. The findings surprised everyone. The great companies didn't have better technology. They didn't operate in better industries. They didn't have more charismatic leaders. They had something else entirely. Something any founder can build if they have the discipline. This is your CEO brief on Good to Great by Jim Collins, the definitive playbook for building something that endures. Here's the first surprise. The leaders who took companies from good to great were not the larger-than-life celebrities you see on magazine covers. They were a different breed entirely. Collins calls them level 5 leaders. These leaders possess a paradoxical combination: personal humility. They credit others when things go well. They deflect praise. They talk about the team, the company. They look rarely themselves. Professional will. When things go wrong, they look in the mirror. They hold themselves accountable. They do whatever it takes to make the company great, not to feed their own ego. The contrast. Level 4 leaders are charismatic, ambitious, and often brilliant. They drive results. But when they leave, performance often collapses because the company revolved around them. Level 5 leaders build something that outlasts them. They're quiet, unassuming. They set up successors to succeed. When they leave, the company keeps getting better. The evidence. The CEO of Kimberly-Clark during its transformation was Darwin Smith, a lawyer who became CEO almost accidentally. Mild-mannered, soft-spoken, people described him as quiet, shy, even awkward. But when he discovered the company was stuck in mediocre business, paper mills, newsprint, he made the hardest call of his career. He sold the mills, every single one. Wall Street called it a failure. He didn't flinch. He transformed Kimberly-Clark into the dominant consumer paper products company, beating Procter & Gamble. And when asked about his success, he said, "I never stopped trying to become qualified for the job." That's level 5. The lesson for you? Stop trying to be the hero. Start trying to build something that outlasts you. When things go well, point to the team. When things go wrong, point to the mirror. Greatness isn't built by charisma. It's built by discipline, humility, and an uncompromising will to make the company succeed, not yourself. Here's another counterintuitive finding. Most leaders think, we need a vision, we need a strategy, then we need to find the right people to execute it. Collins's research found the opposite. Great leaders did not start with strategy. They started with who. First who, then what. They got the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. Then they figured out where to drive it. Why? Because if you have the right people, you don't need to motivate them. They're already motivated. You don't need to direct them. They'll figure out the best path. You don't need to manage them. They'll manage themselves, realize them. And if you have the wrong people, no strategy will save you. They'll find ways to undermine it, misinterpret it, or simply not execute it. The discipline. Great companies were ruthless about getting the right people in the right seats. Not cruel, ruthlessly disciplined. They didn't hire someone just because they needed to fill a role. They waited for the right fit. And they didn't keep someone just because they'd been there a long time. If someone wasn't right, they moved them out with dignity. but with speed. The lesson for you? Spend more time on hiring than anything else. Screen for character, work ethic, and cultural fit before skills. When you have the wrong person on the bus, act. Not next quarter. This week. The right people don't need to be managed. They need to be unleashed. Now we get to the strategy. Collins and his team found that great companies operated with a simple, piercing clarity. They didn't try to be good at many things. They focused relentlessly on one thing. He calls this the hedgehog concept. It comes from an ancient Greek parable. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. The fox is clever, cunning, and adaptable. The hedgehog is simple. When threatened, it does one thing. Rolls into a ball. And it works. Every time. Great companies are hedgehogs. They find the intersection of 3 circles. Circle 1. What you can be the best in the world at. Not just good at. Not competitive at. The best. This is about capability, not ego. Circle 2. What drives your economic engine? What single economic denominator makes you thrive? For Walgreens, it was profit per customer visit. For Wells Fargo, it was profit per employee. Find your metric. Circle 3. What you're deeply passionate about. What work makes your people jump out of bed in the morning? What work do they do not because they have to, but because they love it? The hedgehog concept is where these 3 circles overlap. The contrast. Look at the companies that failed to sustain greatness. They chased fads. They diversified into the areas they didn't understand. They said yes to every opportunity. Great companies said no to almost everything. They focused on their hedgehog concept with obsessive discipline. The lesson for you? Ask yourself the 3 questions. What can we be the best in the world at? What drives our economic engine? What are we deeply passionate about? Find the intersection, then focus there. Relentlessly. Every opportunity that doesn't fit your hedgehog concept? Say no. Even the good ones. Especially the good ones. Because good opportunities distract from great ones. Here's the most encouraging finding. Greatness doesn't come from one big moment. One breakthrough. One magical pivot. It comes from the flywheel. A flywheel is a massive, heavy wheel. When you first start pushing, nothing happens. You push. It moves an inch. You push again. It moves a little more. For months, even years, you push. Progress feels invisible. Most people give up. But if you keep pushing consistently, relentlessly, the flywheel builds momentum. Each push adds to the last. Eventually, the wheel spins on its own. At a certain point, you can't stop it. The evidence. The great companies didn't have one defining moment. They had a series of disciplined decisions, each building on the last. A new hire, a product improvement, a difficult exit from a non-core business. Individually, these decisions seemed small, but together, they created unstoppable momentum. The contrast. Companies that failed to sustain. Greatness chased miracle. Moments. They looked for a single acquisition, a new CEO, a revolutionary product that would transform everything overnight. It never came. Or when it came, it didn't stick. The lesson for you? Stop looking for a single breakthrough. Start building momentum. Make one disciplined decision today, then another tomorrow, then another. Document your wins. Show the team the progress, even when it feels slow. Greatness is not a moment. It's a trajectory. And that trajectory is built one push at a time. 3 things you can do this week. First, audit your leadership style. Are you building something that outlasts you? Or are you making yourself indispensable? Ask your team, what would happen if I left tomorrow? If the answer is chaos, you're not building a level 5 organization. Start delegating. Start giving credit. Start building systems that work without you. Second, evaluate your bus. Do you have the right people in the right seats? List your leadership team. Next to each name, answer 2 questions. Do they share our core values? Are they world-class at what they do? If both answers aren't yes, have the conversation this week, not next month. This week. Third, define your hedgehog concept. Block 2 hours this week. No distractions. Answer the 3 questions. Find the intersection. Write it down. Then ask, what opportunities are we saying yes to that don't fit? Start saying no. Let's lock this in. 1. Level 5 leaders blend humility with fierce will. They point to the team when things go well. They point to themselves when things go wrong. 2. First who? Then what? Get the right people on the bus. Get the wrong people off. Then figure out where to drive it. 3. The hedgehog concept. Find the intersection of what you can be best at, what drives your economics, and what you're passionate about. Focus there relentlessly. 4. The flywheel. Greatness isn't one moment. It's consistent, disciplined pushes that compound into unstoppable momentum. 5. Good is the enemy of great. Most companies stall at good because they lack the discipline to say no to good opportunities that distract from great ones. Brief complete. Now go build momentum. Good is comfortable. It's safe. It's what most companies settle for. Great is harder and requires discipline, humility, the willingness to say no to almost everything so you can say yes to the one thing that matters. But great is also what compounds, what outlasts you, what builds something your team, your customers, and your industry will remember. Now, out of all of the lessons in this brief, which one will you implement first? Let us know in the comments. And as a reward for those of you watching until the very end, here's your well-deserved bonus. The flywheel works both ways. If you push consistently, momentum builds. If you stop pushing, momentum decays. The companies that sustain greatness never stop pushing. They don't declare victory. They don't take breaks. They understand that the moment you stop pushing, the wheel begins to slow. Greatness is not a destination. It's a discipline. This is the CEO Brain Library High Signal Briefs for leaders with no time to waste. If this landed, subscribe. Next episode, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, a Sensuentian strategy for modern CEOs. Know your enemy. Win without fighting. Position your company so victory is inevitable before the battle begins. Until next time, keep pushing the flywheel.